The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program host and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by TCNTV Network Incorporated. Due to the social nature of this broadcasting channel, videos may contain content copyrighted by another entity or person. The TCNTV Network claims no rights to said content. TCNTV Network cannot be held accountable for the copyrighted content. TCNTV Network is a messenger and sharer of information and strives to verify but cannot warrant the accuracy of copyrights or completeness of the information on this program.
Hi, I'm Danny Quinn, and welcome to another exciting edition of Color Me Poetry. This evening, it is my honor and my pleasure to welcome Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. He's the author of the workbook for victims of white supremacy. It's the short title, and Mr. Fuller has lectured extensively. He's traveled and spoken many places around the country, and I'd like to take this time to welcome Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. Welcome, sir.
Good evening.
Let's talk about your book, your workbook, textbook, for victims of white supremacy. You started writing in the 50s, and you started when you were in the war, is that right?
No, actually it was, I first started thinking about it during the so-called Little Rock crisis at the Central High School there. And I was thinking about the terms that were being used, racial segregation, racial integration, and that became the focal point for my whole concept of the approach to racism, that the words are very important. And this became very important right at the beginning, that the words are being used, racial integration, racial segregation. What does this mean? What is racism? So over a period of time, I've taken notes that evolved into a book. It came to mean, to me, using what I call compensatory counter-racist logic, white supremacy. White supremacy is racism. Racism is white supremacy. That they are synonymous because there possibly could be, in theory, other forms of racism, but that became the dominant form. And it.
Welcome everybody. Welcome everyone to
Greetings. That's what happens when you put the speakers on in the studio. It happens, man. Don't worry. I'm sure we'll get that fixed sometime. It's all good. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to another segment of Ear to Hell.
I'm scared to talk.
No, go on, donkey. I know, because your voice is so loud. It causes all there you go too, right? The reverberation.
All right, we need to get into this. So listen, today, guys, I would like to, first of all, if many of you do not know how honored I am to be acquainted to someone who I like to call a master teacher. He doesn't take enough credit, but I think people need to understand. Anyone who knows us obviously knows that we run an organization called Here to Help, which goes into the community, and we work with children in high-risk areas. They say black. Just say black. Stop with this high-risk bullshit, euphemisms. And we obviously go there because, A, we know we have nothing to fear, and B, we know that our people in our community need help. Right? And we want to help them.
Yeah, man.
And Dave has definitely taken up the forefront and has become the face of Here to Help. Because Okay,
There's
I'm the
this-
face.
there you go.
I'm the face,
Much
but
better.
he's the brains
I'm more
behind
like the
here to
foot
help.
soldier, you know?
Right? But honestly, Dave, like he put together the show, and Celine and I were laughing at him because she said that even when he sent in his script, how it was very teacher-like. Picture 1A, 1B, 1C. But that's because he was a master teacher, Dave.
No, that's got nothing to do with it. It just tried to make things a little bit more simpler.
Master teacher. He did a lesson plan. Okay.
Far from it.
So let's jump into this, Dave, because you know what? You said something actually before we came on about these topics and why this may not be important to people right now, but when it becomes important.
Yeah, so we are looking at, of course, tackling Neely Fuller's work, the United Independent Compensatory Concept System and Code. It's,
Oh, Jesus.
I know it's a
Not that
mouthful.
word.
Yeah, it's just a theory because, of course, white supremacy has yet to be eliminated from our ranks, right? But what we said just before the show went on is that when we did the other show on the 10 basic stops, which is also part of the book, and we'll go ahead and show it up here as well, right? It took a while for people to really grasp onto it. And the only reason I say that is that right away, it might not strike people right away, but
Yeah.
when things in the world do happen,
That's
right?
when people start
That's when
paying
people go back
attention.
and start to pay attention,
All right.
right? And of course, the 10 basic stops, they're real basic in concept. Stop cursing, stop calling name calling, stop gossiping, stop running to
Stop
people
gossiping.
right? Stop running to people to go and solve our problems, right? I mean, these are real basic in concept, but of course, they're still in existence,
Right.
right? And what I do find is this: a lot of us, we don't own the material, right, for ourselves. So of course, we're waiting for everybody else to go ahead and dissect it.
Well, we're dissecting it for you.
Yeah, something like that, right?
Yeah. Let's jump into it because you have like 14 pages of notes. I don't know how you plan to get through 14 pages of notes.
Don't worry,
But-
it's I mean, mind you, if we need to split it up, then by means. But this is pretty much the follow up to the basic stops. What we wanted to do is simply look at the 9 areas of major activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, sex, war/games. Right. Today we're looking at the actual second area of major activity, which is education. Something that you and I we go ahead and do. Right. The only reason we didn't do economics because, of course, you know what, we're more at the forefront for education. But more importantly, I really wanted to go in and stress what's being said in the book,
Okay.
as opposed to what people may think. Of course, what this education, what he mentions about education, may be.
Okay.
Right. So, shall we begin?
Picture one ear.
Now, keep in mind this. Everything here is simply a suggestion.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
He does state in the book, and I'll quote, and a lot of things that we do quote, right? It's simply that no person should speak and or act according to any suggestion presented herein, unless he or she has judged that the suggestion chosen is of current and correct value in helping eliminate racism, white supremacy. Right? So, I mean, if it doesn't resound with you, then by means, don't take that step. Right? So first and foremost,
Hold on.
actually, I think that's 1B.
Hold on. I feel like the logo. We had a logo. I sent out a logo like,
This
thing
one-
today.
Come on, listen, you didn't
and
help.
you decided on the logo
Listen, no, I didn't decide.
without
I
letting our
really
audience and viewers.
this
Sorry.
This is what's happening right now.
Sorry.
I see. Okay, so
Sorry.
when we think of education or educate, it's coming from the Latin word educare or educa, which simply means to draw out, to of course to bring up or to rear, right?
Okay.
So this is simply what we're doing today is to bring out information, to draw out information. So of course, you know what, the rearing of our personality, so we become of course better members of society.
All right.
Right. The first one, I believe, is slide 1 or slide 1A or sorry, 2. 2. Yeah, there we go. Slide 2. Try to learn something about everything. Right? Take an interest in everything that happens and in everything that exists in the universe. Now, I found this very interesting in regards to why he would go and start this off, right? And his reason for starting this off in such a manner is this: all people, both white and non-white, have persons among them who have great knowledge and understanding of many things. But non-white people do not consolidate and constructively utilize and efficiently exchange the variety of things that they learn from time to time. Right? Which is very powerful because, of course, there's a lot of things that we come in contact with, we just let it go.
So there's just a lot of knowledge that we pick up that we don't implement or use or utilize.
Of course.
Okay.
More importantly, like what happens simply that this information simply gets lost or forgotten. Right?
Okay.
And we can see that simply in regards to like a lot of the information which has passed down to our foreparents.
Okay.
Right? It was only just now, because of recent studies, that, of course, that we're beginning to understand the greatness of us as a people. Right? You look at, of course, of our scholars, simply as Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen, anywhere from Ivan Ben Serdama, right? He's went ahead and shown in regards to how we went ahead and actually contributed to world society, not just inside, of course, the continent, right?
Okay.
So, like, it's just really, really, really interesting in regards to the fact that where we still need to be. And I guess, like, we're still fighting this evil thing called white supremacy racism.
I feel like when people hear this, that word white supremacy, I don't think people have a true understanding of what that really means. So I know you're probably going to touch some things. So let's go on a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to dig back into education and how white supremacy has infiltrated the system.
There you go.
We'll talk about that right back here on Here to Help You.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
Is the museum for, and I have mentioned that I would hope that everything that black people are involved in is not in a celebratory vein. I prefer to use the word education rather than celebration in anything that is associated with black people worldwide. No celebrations, all education. Let the education be the celebration. Education meaning what? Learning what to do and what not to do. That's it. Everything that you look at, everything that you're involved in, should be a process of learning what to do and what not to do and why. And make everything that you do as constructive as you possibly can. It's just not a matter of just going around oohing and ahhing and hand clapping and nothing changes. No. Everything should be pointed towards some type of lesson that can be used. Some type of lesson that can be used in a constructive manner. Everything that you touch, every conversation that you have, something that can be used in a constructive manner.
Yes, sir.
You don't contact people.
Contact people.
Yes. Don't worry. She'll cut it out.
Thank you, Slia. Thank you so much. Welcome back, everybody, to Here to Help You on MyTCNTV network. Just a really quick thing before we go back into this. Definitely don't forget to check out our other two shows on our Tuesday lineup. Just before us at 4 o'clock was Mr. Jermaine Chambers on Point. And right after that, we have the beautiful Erica Edwards on What Matters. Now, let's get back into this, Mr. Rankin.
Yeah, so we're looking at the second major area of activity, which happens to be education, right? As we heard just a while ago, in regards to like how he defines education is simply learning what to do and what not to do, right? And this is the main premise in regards to, of course, eradicating racism or white supremacy within, of course, education. Now, he does teach it in regards to like white supremacy, racism. It is pretty much the examples that we use. Look at it as an octopus with 9 tentacles, right? And the head of the
But
octopus.
the octopus has 8 because it's called octa.
I understand, but look at my example just for a moment.
It wouldn't be an octopus. Name it something else.
Okay, well, look, I'm sure you'll get it.
Okay.
But anyways, the tentacles simply are reared into, of course, all the major areas, right? And the head being,
The 9 ones.
there you go, right?
Could be a squid.
Maybe that will
ahead.
work, right?
Sorry.
Everything being interconnected, right? And you think where we're winning the battle in one, simply we're losing the battle in another,
In others.
right? But once again, of course, because everything is all intertwined,
Okay.
right? So as you mentioned before the break, in regards to we as a people, we need to learn how to study everything, right? And not just study everything. We need to make sure that this information that we study, we need to make sure that it's effectively shared amongst all of us,
Okay.
right? Slide 2B, please. Or not to be. So, non-white people generally have no great desire to know everything there is to know about the universe. They have no great desire to dominate the universe and all that it is in it or a part of it. They are mostly content to survive in it.
Yes. Why?
And that's just conditioning,
Okay.
right? We've been conditioned to survive from the time that,
They brought us here?
even just a little before that. Look at the Sahara Desert. Oh, what we know is the desert, right? The Sahara. Well, Sahara means desert. So when we're saying the Sahara Desert, we're simply
saying
saying
the
it
desert
twice.
desert?
Exactly, right? But prior to it becoming a desert, right, it was lush. And in fact, I'm sure there's some artifacts that can go ahead and show that, right? Now, land, the erosion of land was our first enemy. And I say that because, of course, once, of course, all that greenery, right, was beginning to erode, guess what we had to do?
Move.
There you go. That's a fit
Yeah.
for survival.
Yeah, we had to move.
Exactly, right?
We can't plant nothing on our E-road.
There you go, right? So we have to go and fend for ourselves in regards to that survival mode. Then, of course, later on, we're looking at, of course, those Asians coming in, right? And I'm talking Asians of today. I'm talking Asians, of course, of yesteryears.
Yes.
Right?
different.
Walking in 17 miles, coming across, of course, that peninsula, right into northeast Africa, better known as Kemet, or also known as Egypt, right? And of course, with them settling right at the top, right, the Great Sea, what is known as the Mediterranean, guess what we have to do again?
Move.
There you go.
So,
Right, so I mean, this is where, in regards to like survival mode now has been kicking in, right?
Okay.
And it's been kicking in since then, right? And so of course, we look at now through the passage of slavery, Ma'afa, right, going right into, of course, the present day, right? That's all we do is survive,
okay.
right? And by means, if we're just content with surviving,
We're not going to progress.
exactly, you're useless.
Sorry.
Yeah, for real, you're useless
You
in the
are-
fight.
Yeah.
If you're just content in surviving, you're
Survival. Yeah.
useless, right?
Yeah.
Slide 3.
A.
Study what you learn about white supremacy and use what you learned in a manner that helps promote justice and correctness.
Explain this.
Okay. So, for instance, what we're looking at today, right? We're looking now, of course, at how do we go ahead and use what we know to go ahead and eradicate this system? If not eradicate it, at least give us some tools, give us the fight, give us something that we can hope for.
That we're not just surviving.
There you go.
Okay.
Right? Remember, he said 5 words, and I'm sure we'll get the video. We'll show that later. Right? Replace racism with justice.
Replace racism with justice.
There you go. Or replace white supremacy with
With
justice.
justice.
Right? Either one. Right? And simply that's what we're looking at is justice and correctness. Right? Now, it is correct for all victims of white supremacy to know and understand that all the white supremacists teach, as well as why they teach it and what they teach.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So of course,
The meat.
we study. We need to study them. The spook, that, right?
The spook that sat by the door.
Yes.
I've been telling people about this old school flick from time.
Right.
And it's why, even with their psychology, what psychology do I study, Dave?
Of course.
Their psychology, because they use that on us.
Yeah.
So you have to study the beast in order to know the beast, in order to understand the beast, and then to defeat the beast.
Of course. You know, and then as he states later on, knowledge is neutral. It is how knowledge is used and for what purpose it is used that it determines its value.
Okay.
Right? So, of course, the spook just sat beside the door, just sat behind the door, right? Of course.
Beside the door.
There you go, right? He used that knowledge. What did he use it for?
To empower his people.
There you go, right? That's the
Empowerment.
application which determines its value.
Here to help. Education through empowerment.
Right.
Empowerment through education.
There you go.
Got it.
Right? So, I mean, these are the things that we now have to adapt.
Got it.
Right? And by means educa or educare, right? Which is, of course, once again, to draw out so that we can go ahead and use this for the rearing. Right?
All right.
Cool. You with
You're
me
so
so far?
smart, Dave.
You know, I mean, I read a few books. That's all.
Sometimes I do enjoy just listening to you because you know what? There's a lot of things. You have a lot of knowledge, not useless knowledge, but actual useful knowledge that I really truly think you need to share more. That's just an aside. But I'll let you continue sharing today. Go
By
ahead.
means, you know, people can reach out to me.
Yes,
They know
tell
how to
them
find me.
where they find you.
The easiest is Dave at Care 101 or find me. I Dave Rankin.
And he spells IRIARE, Dave Rankin.
Yeah, it's right above your head. You know, so I mean, you know, like just reach out. I mean, it's all it takes is a simple conversation. You know, when Shaduzi and I, when we were teaching this class, and in fact, we had a proposal to go ahead and actually teach the 9 areas. Right. Mind you, the proposal is still there. It's still written. It might have to be updated, but of course, the lessons are still there. Right. Big up everybody, of course, who came to our classes. You know, big up everybody from Knowledge Bookstore. Big up Brother Derek Williams, who went ahead and made sure that we had a firm understanding and a grasp in regards to what the system is, because it is through through them, right, that we are able to go and sit here today and actually go and disseminate this information for our people.
Wonderful.
Right?
Big up yourselves.
Yeah, man. And not only do we, of course, we need to teach it to ourselves. You know, by means, as slide 4 tells us, you know, teach the smaller or the younger people the truth, right? Everything that we know of regards to all 9 areas. Right, and not only do we need to start teaching them, we need to teach them so that way they can understand, because of course, not only because they are the future, but as Uncle Louis says, there are what's now.
There are present too. Yeah.
Right, it's more than just saying, you know, describing a skin color as being racist, right? Because really and truthfully, when you look at it, that's not, right? It goes beyond simply, you know, oh, you're black, okay, great, right? So they have to understand that. Right? It goes beyond their understanding of calling each other nigger. Okay, great. So where did you learn that?
Yeah.
Right? Do you understand what that word means? Where it's coming from?
Right.
Right? How it was used. Maybe why is it offensive to some people when they hear it?
Right.
Right?
It means rotting flesh.
Yes. Coming from the word necro. Right? Necro. Yes. Dead and rotten.
Dead and rotten.
There you go. Right? And not to be confused with the word inger, which is a conversation for another time. Right? As Sunita just put it just a while ago, tell them the correct purpose of learning about anything at any time. Right? As to use what is learned to help promote justice and correctness. So as you said before, in regards to that word nigger or necro, right? Or negro, right? Making sure they understand where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why?
Why it was used.
Exactly. Why, once again, if you use it in public, right, and you get certain eyes looked at you, understand why.
Why it's happening.
Of course.
And why you get so mad when I'm like, nigga, you didn't take out the garbage?
No nigger. None whatsoever.
Okay, so when we come back, we're going to go in. Did you take out the garbage? Anyhow, when we come back,
we'll get out with the dog, okay?
Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about white supremacy and the 9 areas of activity in society.
Second area, education.
And we're dealing with the second area, which is education. See you guys soon.
With so many newspapers within the community, it's sometimes hard to tell what separates us from the rest. Most of the time, they all brag about the same thing. You know, the large circulations, tons of online views, and it can go on and on. But what really separates the Toronto Caribbean newspaper apart from everybody else? Well, it's simple. Our service. No, seriously. Hi, I'm Grant Browning, founder and CEO of the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. I have over 20 years of branding and marketing experience, and I've worked with countless companies and corporations to do one thing, and that is to raise their profits with their brand. With over 40 years of combined experience in branding and marketing, our amazing staff is fully prepared to sit down and figure out exactly what you need to stand out from your competitors.
The reason why you don't see us out anymore is because
the ad is too powerful, bring too much people.
So what are you waiting for? Give us a call today. We'll be happy to help.
Hi, everybody.
You get catch.
Welcome back.
Slide over.
No, because this is, you know what? I love this. I'm going to make you do more of these shows because it gives me less to do. And I can just
really?
listen to you. Because you're a master teacher.
Far from it. But, I know a few things. That's all. Right? Slide 5. Study the past or history for one basic purpose, and that is to learn about the mistakes that were made in the past so as to be better prepared to make the same mistakes in the future. What would you say this means to you?
You screw up, learn from it. Don't screw up again. Or try not to.
Or try not to.
Realistically, you might. Especially if it has become habit. Right.
And there's one thing that we've become habit among us as a people.
Being late.
That's one of them.
So annoying.
Right? But for instance.
Surviving.
That. Right, the mistake of just staying of survival, the mistake of now of allowing outsiders to come in,
and depending on them,
our outsiders.
I was gonna say something. I think it's petty. So I'm gonna hold my mouth for a second.
No problem. Right. Slide B, 5B. All people should learn about all the mistakes that were made by all the people who existed before them. They should learn about all of the things that should not have done by people. Right, in all the areas of activity, right? So not even just looking at us as a culture, right, or us as quote unquote race, right, and looking at the mistakes that we have done. Well, let's look at the mistakes that they have done as well.
Yeah, man, learn them.
Of course. Of course.
It's so important. And sometimes I'll listen to Black educators like yourself, and they'll be so yes, it's wonderful to know so much about you. It's great, but when you're living in their world. No matter how much you know about you, you've got to know about them or they're going to beat you every time. This is their world. It may not be their land necessarily, but they've made it their world. Right. And you know what? Let's look at the positive side of things as well. Let's not just look at the mistakes that we've made. Let's look at some of the successes as well. Right. For instance, we know that the natives here, we've been here, and they've just been given, of course, some sort of sovereignty, right? As a success. Right. Well, we should look at that and we're going to say what it should mean for us. Right. Right. Understanding in regards to having that status as sovereign status in regards to tax purposes. This is Brittany Channer. You know what? As a success, I want to bring this in. There's the Gladue. So it was the Gladue case where basically a woman got off who's a native because what they did is they took into consideration all the harm that had been done to her. Correct. They are now going to be utilizing that as precedent for Black people. Yes, of course. That's a success. That's an achievement. Now, before just flinging someone in a jail, you're going to look at everything that encompasses that person. It's a very humanistic approach. Of course. Right? Where you're looking at everything instead of just being okay, you stabbed someone. Well, what are the reasons for that? Let's go back into their history, right? Into our history, because there's more to it. I think it's Gladue. I have to ask Brittany, but definitely something that is considered. I remember she came on the show and we talked about that case. Yeah, she updated me last week. Right. It's now being utilized for Africans living in America, in the Americas, well, in Canada. Right. So, it's so important that we look at these things. Dr. John Henrik Clark, Dr. Clark, right, he said that in his book, Notes for a African World Revolution, there's a gentleman, I forget his first name, however, the last name, Abu Bakr, right? He was quoted as being the greatest ruler during the Ma'afa, or the slave trade, right? Well, we need to look at him. Okay, so why would white people, right, Europeans, those who conquered information, why would they go ahead and look at this person, right, as being the greatest ruler during a time that we looked at as one of the most peril? Right? What systems did he have in place? That's a story for another conversation. Okay. Right? I feel you. Right? So, but it's once again, it's a success story that we need to go ahead and look at. And understand. Right? We need to go ahead and revisit, of course, Marcus Garvey's success as well. Yeah.
Right?
Like,
as individuals, there's so many of us as individuals that say, yes, as an individual, yes, we look at them, we imply it, we'll apply it to ourselves, right? But collectively, we're terrible collectively.
we can't be on time.
Slide 6, please. Not only should we go ahead and actually study the information, but we should also practice making and keeping written notes for all possible useful ideas as swiftly as they come to mind.
I like that.
Right? This is one of the major things that they have over us. I don't want to mean when I mean by they, what I mean the conquerors.
Okay.
Right? They've done experiments and they kept records. Right? Whether the experiments are successes or failures, but they've kept records.
Kept record.
Right? Us, on the other hand, now, we have failed. Mind you, of course, we're coming from oral tradition. Of course, we know now we've chipped stuff in stone, which is still there, right? Which a lot of us we still can't decipher. But at the same time, we live in an information age now. Well, it's readily found everywhere. So we need to now start creating these databases for us, right? Start creating, of course, housing and storing this information where it now becomes readily accessible.
Isn't that what we're doing right now?
That's exactly what we're doing right now.
Right? We are, and this is one thing I've always said about our show is, you're right, the popularity may not be where we would like it to be yet, but we are documenting history. We are continuing the history that, you know what, if we didn't do it, someone would have to, or it would go unsaid,
yes.
Right? Like, especially here in Canada, there's not enough of being actively put out there.
Yeah, because we're still in pockets. Sheikh Anta Diop, our great scholar, said that everything must be tied to a federation, right? Meaning a governing or a governing body.
Do we have a governing body?
No, we don't.
We have like 18 of them?
We're not even close to that.
Is that the pockets you're talking about?
Kind of, sort of.
Okay.
Right? I mean, mind you, the closest thing that we have right now is the Federation of Black Canadians, right? And still, there's a distrust that we as the general public have for them.
Because we distrust each other.
Not even just that, they distrust themselves. And I say that I say that respectively because, once they get in that position of saying, yes, we're part of this, they start jockeying for power within inside.
Yeah, the
right?
ego kicking, eh?
Exactly. Right? And that's normally the downfall of all organizations.
It's the ego.
Yes, because, they're just waiting for us to go and plummet from within. As opposed to waiting, people who are actually truly selfless, having selfless leaders who actually play their part and understand their role.
That's it, knowing your role.
Know your role.
Like, see, me, I am the fierce. Dave
is the foot soldier.
Is the brain. We know our roles. I don't step in Adia's role.
She does.
And Dave can't step in my shoes.
We can't, pretty.
But realistically, no, it's what makes things work so well with us is because we know our roles.
Yeah.
We don't have to jock for power.
We shouldn't.
And I think it's something that you're right. I think it's this whole ego thing that happens with our community where there has to be so many shepherds, right? Everyone want to lead. You can't even lead yourself.
And
come out.
I'd had this conversation with Asad Malik from the Pan-African Alliance the other day, and he said, it's great to have 18 leaders. Beautiful. We can have so many leaders in this world, right? Within an organization, right? But still, at the end of the day, people need to fall in line.
Play your role.
Right?
You can be a leader in your role.
When we went to the peace conference out in England with the Ahmadiyans, peace upon them as well, remember what the Khalifa said? Strong leadership.
Strong leadership.
Everyone must adhere to strong leadership.
There has to be a leader and everyone must play their role.
Yes.
Got it.
Slide 7.
B.
Study words and or their terms in order to learn their current definitions, past definitions, double meanings, and philosophical meanings. Like the word myth. I love that word myth.
Me too. I love all words, which is why I study words. I love words for this reason, Dave.
Right.
For this reason.
Or propaganda.
Know their language.
Yes.
Understand it so that when you see it, you're not just like, duh.
But it's real.
I'm telling you.
It's true.
This is why I've mastered the English language. Everything is for a purpose.
Yeah, man.
Everything is for a purpose. You have to be able to use their language against them. It's fun.
And that's the whole thing, right? We use the examples of course propaganda. Propaganda is probably one of the most misdiagnosed,
misunderstood words ever.
Mind you, it's one of those words that does not have a clear-cut definition.
It means many things.
Yes.
It has a cornucopia of meanings. Look the word up.
I'll leave that to you. Right? But I mean, of course, it must serve the purpose.
Yes.
Right? He goes on to say here that before we get into slide, actually, we won't have enough time to go to slide 8. However, though, he goes on to state here that give these words and or terms the most accurate compensatory definitions that you can think of, that when used will we best reveal and or promote truth, justice, and or correctness.
Okay. So utilize the words that you've learned in a way that is going to help your community reach a level of justice.
There you go.
See, when you learn words, that's what happens. Nothing gets past me. When we come back, we're going to complete I think we need to do another show on this. We're going to be doing a few. Can we tackle all 9?
If you would like to.
I think it'd be a good series. That would be 9 episodes. I don't have to worry about doing nothing.
Actually, that's what you think. That's what you think.
We'll see you soon. I'm here to help you.
5 basic words to describe what needs to be done.
Well, when you put it in the frame of reference, everyone, when they talk about racism and white supremacy, should always start by saying that the focus, the objective should be replace white supremacy with justice. Those are the 5 basic words. And you start your frame of reference from that. The words are very important because when people talk about racism, they tend to get away from the basic focus. If you keep those 5 words in mind, replace white supremacy with justice, then you can keep focus. In many of these discussions on the matter, people tend to get into everything from feminism to words that don't have precise definitions.
And everything else. They go off on a tangent.
Yes, right.
Yeah, but this kind of locks it in.
Right. Bigotry, discrimination, sexism, a multitude of isms. Biracialism, whatever that means, multiculturalism.
Whatever that means.
Yes. And so you get into a myriad of words that don't apply to the focus of what you're talking about.
With so many newspapers within the community, it's sometimes hard to tell what separates us from the rest. Most of the time, they all brag about the same thing. You know, the large circulations, tons of online views, and it can go on and on. But what really separates the Toronto Caribbean newspaper apart from everybody else? Well, it's simple. Our service. No, seriously. Hi, I'm Grant Browning, founder and CEO of the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. I have over 20 years of branding and marketing experience, and I've worked with countless companies and corporations to do one thing, and that is to raise their profits with their brand. With over 40 years of combined experience in branding and marketing, our amazing staff is fully prepared to sit down and figure out exactly what you need to stand out from your competitors.
The reason why you don't see that anymore is because
The ad is too powerful, bring too much people.
So what are you waiting for? Give us a call today. We'll be happy to help.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, and thank you for hanging in there with us. I'm glad that we've decided to go this route with the show.
Why? Because you have nothing to do?
Yes. No, because, again, we're just talking about knowing roles. Dave, out of the two of us, who is the better teacher? And don't just be stupid because you don't want to be stupid. Who is the better teacher?
Far from it.
Lord.
Far from it. We interrupt this regularly scheduled program with the rings of the phone.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
If you notice the texture and ringtone.
Who's the better teacher? And be honest, Dave.
I don't know. It just would come down to understanding, right? Because, I tell you this, right? When it comes to your area of expertise.
Which is?
Psychology.
Yeah.
Or psychotherapy or being of the mind.
The mind. Anything to do with this up, yes, sir.
Right? I can swim. I can tread water.
Yes,
right?
You're a treader.
But I can't go into the depths what you would feel the most natural.
Yes, and same thing with education. I can tread. Sometimes I run out of breath, and sometimes my legs hurt. But you, sir, can just swim for days. So honestly, thank you very much for doing this and taking this on because, again, I think you're an amazing teacher. I've always called you a master teacher. I think you're really good at what you do. I think, honestly, you're underrated. I truly believe so. I think you have so much knowledge. If you saw how many books were in our house, if that house was to catch on fire, the whole house would go up because it's full of a book and
Kindling, right?
pure kindling for this guy. It wouldn't even take long to catch. But thank you for bringing this up. And we are going to continue on this. I think we should, not just because I don't have to do anything, but because I think the information is, again, I'm learning still from you. And I think you do a great job. A lot of people aren't going to go and actually pick up this book. Can we show this book again? Those who want to, they can. You can pick this up. But a lot of people are not going to actually go and pick up a book like this to try to read it.
No,
It's too dense.
The way it's written, I mean, it's not written. For instance, now Dr. Ben, he writes from a grade 8
That's it.
education, right? So to at least the layperson go in and understand it. There may be some research there. However, though, mind you, he does write clear and concise. However, in regards to the manner, it's very cut and it's very dry, right? Neely Fuller.
Neely Fuller?
Right.
Okay.
So I mean, there isn't a whole lot of course, exactly, right?
This is what it is. White
Exactly.
supremacy.
Right.
Done.
It either it is or it is
Isn't.
not.
Yes.
Right. So I mean, it is what it is. I mean, in that respect, right? However, in regards to like what it can do for us as a people, right? And not even just talking us as a culture. For anybody who's interested in actually eliminating white supremacy, racism, right? It's a gem, and it should be in everybody's library. Whether it's, of course, in its physical form or a PDF, by means, you should definitely have this.
Or just watch the show.
Right? Find people who have read it, start your study groups, start conversation, have those conversations. At the end of the day, we have to start practicing constructive conversations.
I like that.
Right?
Constructive conversations.
Yeah,
not just gossip.
Right.
Right? Not just chat about people and trippiness.
If our existence is not only just to go ahead and make sure that we excel, but also to eliminate this ugly beast, right? We need to go ahead and have this type of conversation.
Agreed.
Right?
All right.
And it must be started with ourselves first.
Absolutely. Master teacher, go on with it.
Right. As we continue, and you know what, we'll probably, whatever we don't get to do here right now, by means, I'll throw up the notes on the blog page, so we'll definitely get it out there.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot.
There is. Let's skip to slide 9.
B.
Speak and write precisely, clearly, simply, and constructively. Avoid using the use of unnecessary words. Avoid the use of slang expressions.
Like you said, he's cut and dry.
Very.
No time for fluff.
Right? The most constructive forms of speaking and writing are those forms that reveal a maximum amount of information with a minimum amount of confusion and wasted words. Right?
Yeah, man.
Do this. Or don't do this.
Yeah.
Right?
Keep it simple. Kiss.
Stop name calling. Right? Keep it simple. Right?
Stupid.
Slide 10, please. Right? Before speaking and or writing about any matter of basic importance, plan everything that you are going to say and how you are going to say it. Always arrange for enough time to do it correctly. Always speak and or write in a manner that is both simple and effective.
You're better at this than I am.
How?
You just say all types of things. No, I lie. No, no, that's not true. I'm very, very meticulous when I come to my words.
Right?
If I say something, I've thought about it and I probably mean it, good or bad.
Right? It's okay to say that you don't know. If you don't know, you don't know.
You don't know.
Right? And it's all right, because at the end of the day, we don't know everything. And you know what? We got to put away that ego when we actually need the help. Right? And especially when tackling something like this. Right? That is going to go ahead and supposed to help us. Right? So.
Well, true intellects I've found are the ones who are the most humble. True intellects, because they realize that every time they learn something, they realize how much they don't know.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Right.
So there's no area for ego.
Right. It's supposed to make us humble.
Yes.
Right? As the great Bobby Hemmett does say, right? Knowledge is supposed to make you humble.
Yes. Truth.
Right? The value of a word or an act can only be measured by the effect of the word or act. Right? Every word, like every act, should be especially designed to accomplish a correct objective or effect. A word is a tool. Like any other tool, should always be used to accomplish a just and correct objective.
I love that.
Right?
I love his focus on words.
Yeah, he said that because you look at racial integration and racial desegregation. It doesn't make sense. It's either racism, it either exists or it doesn't exist.
There's no gray.
There's nothing. It's either there or it's not there. That's it.
There's no just ism.
Well, anyways, slide 11. Right? Increase your willpower by knowledge and understanding.
Yes. Yes. I like this one.
Right? As we continue now to build upon our knowledge and have a greater understanding, right? Our willpower, right? To fight the good fight, right?
And not succumb to temptations and
or more importantly,
addictions.
Not to succumb to just succumbing.
To just surviving again.
There you go, right?
Okay.
I mean, willpower also comes through knowledge and understanding of the opposite: falsehood, non-justice, and of course, incorrectness. Right? So I mean, the more that we know about this stuff, and so what we should do, right? Which is the sole purpose of education, right? Well, that's one purpose, right? The other purpose of education is to become problem solvers.
Yeah. Solution based.
Right.
Solution based instead of always being in the victim and problem mode.
Right. We know that there's a problem in regards to now adhering to these school boards, as we know, all of them, whether it's York, Toronto, Brampton, Peel, regardless. There's an issue, right? However, we keep appealing to them to go and fix our issue, right? And our issues are making sure that we, as a people, that we are cemented in for our legacy, right? But we keep going to them and listen, yes, here's our proof. Norman DaCosta, here, look, see, here.
No shade thrown.
Right? No, it's not about shade, but there's a problem.
Yeah,
there is a problem. When do we go ahead and start the actual associations or the organizations that we need to go and ensure, right, that we either start our own school board, right, which would encompass schools right across the GTA, or an actual homeschooling association, right, which once again, of course, do the same thing.
I love it.
Right? But again, right? This is about increasing our willpower, right? Increasing our knowledge and understanding so we can go ahead and implement these things, right? And not only just that, of course, slide 12 tells us here to use our education only for the correct purpose. Use all that you learn in such a manner as to promote justice and correctness.
He's big on justice.
Of course.
And correctness.
Right? Because remember, justice is simply what is fair or what is right.
What is right, yes. Yeah.
Right? There's no skin color involved when it comes to justice.
What's right. Yeah.
None whatsoever.
We know that it's not right to treat other people like garbage. It's not.
It's not.
Right. It doesn't matter. Just because you're a certain race, it doesn't mean that it's okay for you to treat other races badly.
Or if you have a university degree, right, and somebody else who does not.
Stop. What did I say?
It's here.
If
one person has greater knowledge and greater understanding of a particular subject, that does not mean he or she has the right to use the knowledge and understanding to mistreat a person who has less knowledge.
I'm uninvolved.
He has written this here.
I'm uninvolved.
It's not about being involved.
Uninvolved.
Because that's not what we're dealing with right here. Right? We're simply looking at as to what's being written in this book here, so that we can go ahead and make sure that we have people who empower.
It's true. Yes. Yeah, it's true. It's not nice to say that you're better than people or treat people badly.
Our last slide. Study and practice ways of improving your memory so that we can go ahead and put what we learn into effective practice.
Yes.
Right? An effective memory is essential to effective education. Right? Look at some of our scholars. In fact, Dr. Clark, he used to test himself. For every book that he's read, that is. He used to test himself. That's why, of course, he doesn't need to go ahead and look at this. I mean, mind you, we're new school, so of course, we go ahead and make sure the notes are ready, available for us. But you go ahead and, of course, he'll just sit down and he does this thing. Well, he just go ahead and put his finger at his temple just like this and start rambling information and start going. So, of course, because he's went ahead and increased his memory.
Yes.
Right? And this is what we're looking to do now. Once again, educa, right? To learn, to draw out, to rear.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Dave, definitely, guys, I will tell you, if you are looking to, what you call it?
Educa?
Yeah, man. That's link up Mr. Dave Rankin. Like he said, the information's above us here. You can also email him at Simone, at dave@carib101.com. Don't email me about it.
She's my handler.
I'm not. I'm not as
She
adept.
angle
I'm not
yeah?
as intellectually versed.
Stop it.
In this field.
You're
but
not
thank you for this, guys. We are going to continue this next week. We're going to dig into another 9.
You want to do it so soon?
Yes, right away. I think we need to go through all the more teaching. What are we going to come off of it for? Dig into it, yes. Plus, again, I don't have to do anything. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Stay tuned for What Matters with the beautiful Erica, the Alita.
The elitist.
The elitist is Erica.
Big
We'll
up
see you
yourself.
guys next week on Here to Help You.